Somaliland's choice for independence is, honestly, one of the most complex and important political stories in the Horn of Africa. To really understand why Somaliland separated from Somalia, we have to look at history, identity, conflict, governance, and, the different paths each region followed. This story isn't just driven by emotion, it's shaped by decades of lived experience, broken expectations, and the ongoing search for stability. Somaliland was a British protectorate from the late 1800s until 1960. During this time, it developed its own administrative systems, legal traditions, and political culture. Even though Somalia was also under colonial rule, it was governed by Italy, and honestly, the two regions grew under different influences. When both gained independence in 1960, Somaliland enjoyed full international recognition for a few days. It had its own flag, its own government, and its own place in the world. But its leaders chose unity with the South, believing a united Somali nation would be stronger. The union, however, was rushed. Somaliland politicians later said the agreement lacked clear legal structure and equal partnership. Through the 1960s and 70s, many people from Somaliland felt they were marginalized. Key government positions, development projects, and military command were dominated by the South. Complaints grew that Mogadishu was treating the union as ownership rather than partnership. When Siad Barre came to power in 1969, the situation changed from political disagreements to open repression. His regime accused northern communities of supporting resistance movements, and the military launched heavy attacks in the region. Cities like Hargeisa and Buro were bombarded, villages were destroyed, and thousands of civilians were killed. These events left deep scars and convinced many Somalilanders that the Union had failed them. When the Somali state collapsed in 1991, Somaliland leaders, elders, and community representatives met in Burao. They reviewed the history of the Union, the violence of the Civil War, and the suffering of the past decades. They concluded that continuing the Union would bring more instability. On May 18, 1991, they announced the restoration of Somaliland's independence. This was not simply a breakaway, it was a return to the sovereignty Somaliland briefly held in 1960. It was a political reset, built on the belief that the region could only ensure peace by governing itself. What makes Somaliland's story even more unique is what happened next. While Somalia descended into years of civil war, clan conflict, and foreign interventions, Somaliland focused on building internal peace. Elders played a major role. They organized grassroots reconciliation processes, where clans discussed grievances openly, paid compensation to prevent revenge cycles, and agreed on a shared future. This bottom-up peace-building became one of Somaliland's strengths. It created trust before institutions and stability before politics. In the mid-1990s, Somaliland established its own constitution, created a multi-party system, and formed institutions like the parliament, judiciary, and security forces. Elections in Somaliland, despite challenges, have been generally peaceful and competitive. Power has transferred from one president to another, something rare in the region. Many Somalilanders believe these achievements are proof that independence is not only a historical right, but also a practical necessity. They argue that returning to a union after building stable governance would risk everything they have worked for. Economically, Somaliland built systems that function independently from Somalia. The port of Berbera became a major supply route for the region. Livestock exports to the Gulf, diaspora investments, and trade corridors with Ethiopia strengthened its economy. Even without international recognition, Somaliland developed an identity of self-reliance. People often say, "We built peace with our own hands, and we built our state without outside help." This mindset really reinforces their belief in independence. Many Somalilanders also compare their situation with the conditions in Somalia today. Somalia continues to face challenges such as security threats, political divisions, and external interference. Although Somalia has made progress, it has not yet achieved the level of stability that Somaliland has maintained for more than 3 decades. From the perspective of many people in Somaliland, the two regions are now on very different paths. One has stability, functioning institutions, and internal peace. The other is still rebuilding from a long conflict. Because of this difference, Somalilanders believe reuniting is unrealistic. At the heart of Somaliland's choice is a simple belief. They want to control their own destiny. They want to protect their political achievements, preserve their local peace, and pass stability to the next generation. Recognition from the world is still missing. But Somalilanders say legitimacy comes from the people first, not from foreign governments. In the end, Somaliland's independence is shaped by history, strengthened by experience, and defended by the will of its people. Whether the international community accepts it or not, Somaliland continues to operate as a self-governing state, and its people remain confident in the path